Thank you all for joining us here at Illuminated. We're going through a series of our endorsed candidates from the IVI IPO, and our most recent candidate right now is Deidre Baumann, who's running for Circuit Court Judge.
Yes.
So Deidre, thank you so much for joining us today.
And I am honored to be here, and of course honored to be endorsed by IVI IPO. It means quite a bit.
Well, it's our pleasure. And it's actually, so I was looking at this, it's IVI IPO, Personal PAC, LGBTQ Impact, Chicago Now, which is the National Organization of Women.
Correct.
Okay. Secretary of State Jesse White, Congressman Danny Davis, Commissioner Frank Aguilar, and Alderman Sawyer. So a nice
Correct.
diverse group right there.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. And there are others.
And there are others, but here's the problem I keep having, folks get endorsed by so many people and so many, well, if I just listed them off, we'd be here the entire time,
Right.
just going through that. So I was like, I have to cut them down a bit. Now you're running for judge,
Yes.
circuit judge, which is, so that's the entire county-wide, right?
Entire county.
Woof.
It's fun. It's wonderful getting to meet people, from far north all the way down to the Indiana border and from east to west. So it's a lot of traveling. With gas prices. It's been difficult, but
I imagine.
But it's interesting, and I think it's necessary. A judge works with people, many different people every single day, and we need to know, who we're serving. We need to understand where people are coming from.
Now, I know that there is the county-wide and there's also sub-circuits.
Correct.
So do those sit on different tracks? How does that work?
And I don't know the exact number of countywide seats, but when a judge retires, leaves the bench, there becomes an opening for that countywide position. The sub-circuits were created because there were certain groups of people that could not become elected countywide. For example, Jewish attorneys could not, or hopefully I will be changing that, and I know
Right.
Justice Hyman has changed that. But, historically, Jewish attorneys could not become judges countywide, running countywide.
Countywide support.
Couldn't get countywide support. So they created these sub-circuits to address the issue. And of course, not only with the Jewish community, but with the African American community, Latinx community, and so forth. So this allows people to run within a much smaller geographic range.
So why is it that we left it so that there's some circuit, and I noticed you were running for the Lynch vacancy. So this is Judge
Correct.
Lynch who's retiring.
Correct.
And you're trying to fill that seat.
Correct.
Why do we leave some of them as county-wide and then some of them as why not just simply divide everything into the sub-circuits?
I have not been following the remap issue as much as I should, but for the next probably several election cycles, we will see maybe no countywide vacancies because they've created additional sub-circuit vacancies and with the redistricting and so forth. So we are going to see much, much more of that in the next election cycle. But of course, we're working under the former system.
Right, which, I don't envy the gas prices and having to get everywhere. So what is it that you're running for judge, you can't really push kind of policy like somebody running for Congress or state representative. So when you go there, you're just like, I'm even-handed. Like, how do you sell yourself when you're running for judge?
It's difficult, and it's difficult for judicial candidates to get our names out, to get the word out. We cannot talk about policies. I focus on my background and what I've done and what I feel is important to be as a judge, and that's how I present myself.
What is your background then? Like, what is it you talk about that you've done and had your experience in that qualifies you for the position?
First of all, experience. I've been practicing 29 years as a litigator. So in both state and federal court, really in every courthouse across the county, in almost every type of case. Now, I specialize or have focused my practice on employment discrimination, civil rights, personal injury, but my experience is broad. And I've done, I started out at the public defender's office and have continued to do quite a bit of pro bono criminal defense work as well over the years. So experience, that's number one. The other thing, my saying or byline is the voice for equal justice, because people all across the county, regardless of their race, economic status, what have you, they need to be heard and they need to be listened to. And as a judge, I understand that. I've had many clients who I felt perhaps the judges haven't been taking their cases seriously enough, haven't listened to really what the issues are, haven't listened to the facts, or have misapplied the law, and that's not acceptable. So that's the other thing. I'm very concerned about hearing everyone, treating everyone equally before the law. We need to have, we're losing respect, and it starts at the Supreme Court level. We're losing, they're not following precedent from 50 years, and now it's becoming a political body.
Right.
And
what do you think is that? That is an interesting question I wanted to get into, not too deeply, but when you have things like the Supreme Court talking about overturning precedents several times now, talking about kind of just throwing things out, what role, as a circuit judge in Cook County, you can't overrule the Supreme Court, but what role can you have in kind of balancing that out?
That's a difficult. I wouldn't say problem. I mean, obviously, you are faced as a judge with the facts of any given case presented, and with the law as it is, regardless of predilection, regardless of what you believe. However, your background, your experience, where you come from, that all plays a part in viewing the case, in looking at a case, in perhaps determining whether the Constitution is broad enough to encompass certain rights or not. So there's not a lot of room for circuit judges to change the law. But I think, the judges do have a lot of discretion, and you want judges who understand the issues and perhaps who
had that breadth of experience, it sounds like.
Yes, exactly.
So no matter which department you end up in, you'll have some background in that. Now, is there a specialty that you'd kind of want to focus on as a judge?
I will go wherever the chief judge believes I am needed.
Which, of course, will on day one be traffic court, of course, because it always is.
Of course, and which it should be. I mean, it's a learning experience. You obviously have, after 29 years, to be on the other side is going to be a great shock. So, yes, I would love to be in traffic. But, I've done over 50 jury trials. Mm-hmm. So that experience, I think, would be very, very helpful in municipal, that would be the next step up, doing municipal jury and/or bench trials. And then from there onward, a lot of my practice has been in chancery. A lot of my practice has been in federal court, so those both translate. I also do a lot of writing and have done a lot of writing. Over 50 appeals argued before the Illinois Supreme Court. So I would be suited also to sit in a court, a chancery court, hearing issues of law, hearing motions for summary judgment and other things. Done many.
What do you think is going to be the biggest, I'll say, culture shock for yourself? You've been an attorney practicing in litigation for 29 years. You're out there advocating. Now you have to be a judge as impartial. What do you think is going to be the biggest shock about that shift?
I think I will have to be very, very mindful that I'm not playing, I'm not participating in this presentation. The judge is there to listen and to decide issues as they come up. So I think, I might want to jump into the ring and start, throwing punches, but that can't happen.
So what kind of judicial, I would say philosophy, but what do you hope to bring to the role for this vacancy you're filling? What is it you hope to bring to it?
Well, as I said, I want everyone who appears before me to feel that they have been heard, that regardless of the outcome, people are not going to be, someone's going to walk away unhappy very, very often. But I want people to be heard, regardless of their situation. So that brings up issues of access to justice. That brings up issues of just how the system within the courtroom, the clerk, the bailiff, the sheriff, whoever, as a group, we need to treat people with dignity and respect, and that's very, very important to me.
And as an attorney who has practiced in front of judges, I do hope that sticks, because sometimes it can get very contentious, and we don't want judges who are going to just pick a side, essentially. So.
And you mentioned that is one thing that has motivated me, because that is not acceptable. You have to hear the evidence, you have to consider the law, then you make your decision. So, absolutely.
Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming out and joining us. Thanks for letting us learn more about you and about what it is to run for judge. What's your punch number this time?
177.
177, all right. So, folks, make sure that you get out there and punch 177 and vote Deidre Baumann
for
Circuit Court Judge. Thank you for joining us
Thank
today.
you.